In the previous video, we learned that the little horn power is the Antichrist, and this power persecuted the saints for a time, times, and half a time. We learned this time period equals 1260 years. This prophetic time period began in 538 AD, when Pope Vigilus ascended the papal throne under Emperor Justinian, and ended in 1798 when French General Berthier under Napoleon deposed Pope Pius VI. From that time on, no papal decree has ever been enforced, but this will change. The deadly wound will be healed. We will study more about the deadly wound of Revelation 13 in a future video. In this video, we will study the 7 biblical verses which mention the 1260-year prophetic time period. Point 1. What Bible verse first introduces the 1260-year prophetic time prophecy? Daniel 7:25 reads, "Then the saints shall be given into his hand, for a time and times and half a time." The Amplified Bible translates the word time to represent 1 year. Also, a study of Strong's concordance shows the original Aramaic word used by Daniel technically means 1 year. Therefore, the period described as time and times and half a time is equal to a 3.5 prophetic years. A prophetic year is 360 days long. Time equals 360 days. Times is 2 years or 720 days. Half a time equals 1/2 year or 180 days. Added together, this time period is 1260 days. According to the day-year principle, 1260 prophetic days becomes 1260 years. Point 2. Daniel 12:7 is the second reference to the 1260-year prophetic time period. Daniel 12:5-9 reads, "Then I, Daniel, looked, and there stood 2 others, one on this river bank and the other on that river bank. And one said to the man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, 'How long shall the fulfillment of these wonders be?' Then I heard the man clothed in linen who was above the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand to heaven, and swore by him who lives forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and half a time, and when the power of the holy people has been completely shattered, all these things shall be finished. Although I heard, I did not understand. Then I said, 'My Lord, what shall be the end of these things?' And he said, 'Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end.'" In these verses, we see that Daniel is talking with 2 heavenly messengers. One of the messengers swears by God that the wonders will be finished after the time period of a time, times, and half a time is fulfilled. Notice that the power of the holy people will have been completely shattered. This is a clear reference to the persecution of the saints by the Antichrist spoken of in Daniel 7:25. The time period of 1260 years is confirmed in Daniel 12. Also note that Daniel was told to go his way. The words were sealed until the time of the end. In other words, the prophecy would not be understood or unsealed until the time of the end. Daniel 11 tells us when the time of the end occurs. We will study Daniel 11:40 in a future video. Point 3. Where is the 3rd and 4th reference to the 1260 years found? Revelation 11:2-3 reads, "But leave out the court which is outside the temple, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the Gentiles, and they will tread the holy city underfoot for 42 months. And I will give power to my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth." What time period is meant by 42 months? 1 prophetic month is equal to 30 days. 42 months times 30 days equals 1260 days. Here we see the exact time period spoken of in Daniel 7:25. In this verse, the Gentiles symbolize the Antichrist, the Roman Catholic papal system, that persecuted the saints for 1260 years. The holy city is referring to the saints that were persecuted by the Antichrist. This would include the Italian Waldensians, the Albigensians of southern France, the English reformers who followed the teachings of Wycliffe, the Hussites in Bohemia, and all the other Christians who were labeled heretics and were persecuted and killed by the papal system during the Crusades and the Inquisitions. The 2 witnesses represent the Bible. They are also described as the Law and the Prophets, Moses and Elijah, the two olive trees, the two candlesticks, and the two-edged sword. The 1260 days is the same time period as the 42 months in verse 2. It represents the 1260 years of papal supremacy from 538 AD to 1798. Sackcloth is closely associated to a time of mourning or distress. During the 1260 years of papal supremacy, the two witnesses or the Bible were restricted, misrepresented, chained to the church walls, written in Greek and Latin, which the common people could not read or understand, and in some cases the people were prohibited to read the Bible for themselves. Point 4. Revelation 12:6 is the fifth reference to the 1260 years. Revelation 12:6 reads, "Then the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days." Who is the woman? Jeremiah 6:2 reads, "I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely, delicate woman." 2 Corinthians 11:2 reads, "For I am jealous over you with godly jealousy, for I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Christ." Revelation 19:7 and 8 reads, "Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of saints." From these verses we learn that the chaste woman is the bride of Christ. She is the pure church. The pure church fled into the wilderness for 1260 years. The wilderness represents a place of seclusion. The pure church was hidden away in the mountains of Piedmont, in the hills of southern France, in Central Africa, in Armenia. She fled from her persecutors. During this period, God's hand was over his church, preserving it from extinction. Point 5. Revelation 12:14 is the sixth reference to the 1260 years. Revelation 12:14 reads, "But the woman was given 2 wings of an eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness to her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time, from the presence of the serpent." Once again, the woman is a pure church. The 2 wings represent rapid flight from persecution. She stays in the wilderness hiding from her persecutors, and she is there for a time, times, and half a time. This is referring to the same prophetic time period of 1260 years that we have studied in the previous verses. Who is the serpent? Revelation 12:9 reads, "And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceives the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." The woman, the pure church, is fleeing from the dragon and his agents, in this case fleeing from the Antichrist who persecuted her during the Dark Ages, the Crusades, and the Inquisitions. She was burned at the stake, tortured, killed by the sword, impaled, and suffered many other atrocities. Point 6. Revelation 13:5 is the seventh reference to the 1260 years. Revelation 13:5 reads, "And he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and he was given authority to continue for 42 months." This verse is talking about the first beast of Revelation 13. It was given authority for 42 months, which we already know is 1260 years. This time period began in AD 538, when Pope Vigilus ascended the papal throne, and ended in 1798, when Pope Pius VI was deposed by General Berthier under Napoleon. We can see from this verse that the first beast of Revelation 13 is the Antichrist power. It is the papal system which persecuted the saints for 1260 years. To learn more about the Antichrist, click on the link to the right of this screen. Like, share, and subscribe to learn more about Bible prophecy. Until next time, God bless you.